How on earth is this matchup not the Sunday Night Football headliner? No disrespect to Falcons versus Vikings, but let's be real. Eagles versus Chiefs feels like a heavyweight title fight. It's a Super Bowl rematch, the kind of game fans circle on their calendars the moment the schedule drops. And yet, it's sitting in the Week 2 afternoon slot like just another regular matchup. The stakes? Massive. Super Bowl rematches don't come often, only 9 times in NFL history. And in 7 of those, the team that won the Lombardi went on to win the rematch too. Advantage Kansas City, right? Well, not so fast. Patrick Mahomes has never in his career started 0-2. That's not just rare, it's unheard of. Andy Reid has only done it once in Kansas City, way back in his second year with the team. If the Chiefs want to keep that streak alive, they'll need a lot more than Mahomes' magic this week. Because waiting on the other sideline, a loaded Philadelphia Eagles team that looks just as hungry as last season. Kansas City walked into Week 1 looking to set the tone, but instead they walked out with more questions than answers. Giving up 27 points while letting Justin Herbert carve them up for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns? That's not the kind of start you want if you're a defending dynasty. The Chiefs' defense allowed a passer rating north of 130, and in the NFL, that usually means you're losing the game. And it wasn't just the defense. The offense, for all the magic Patrick Mahomes created, simply didn't finish drives. 5 for 14 on 3rd down isn't going to win many games, especially against a quarterback like Herbert. Scoring only 21 points just won't cut it in today's league. Now let's be clear, Mahomes still delivered his highlight reel. Over 250 yards through the air, scrambling for key first downs, and pulling off throws only he can make. His chemistry with Hollywood Brown stood out. 16 targets, 10 catches, just shy of the century mark. Travis Kelce also did what Kelce does, 47 yards and a touchdown. Even Juju Smith-Schuster chipped in with 55 yards of his own. But for every bright spot, there was a glaring problem. Right tackle Jawan Taylor drew 4 penalties, killing drives. The red zone offense stalled. And for a team that prides itself on precision, the miscues were impossible to ignore. Bottom line, Kansas City can't afford another sloppy showing, not with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles looming. If Mahomes wants to avoid the first 0-2 start of his career, the Chiefs have to be sharper, tougher, and way more efficient than what we saw in Week 1. While Kansas City stumbled, Philadelphia looked steady in their Week 1 opener. It wasn't flashy, but it was controlled. Exactly the kind of performance that makes the Eagles so dangerous. Their defense held the Cowboys to under 21 points. And anytime you do that in today's NFL, you've set your offense up to win. Jalen Hurts didn't light up the stat sheet through the air, just over 150 yards passing, but he was ruthlessly efficient, completing 19 of 23 throws. And when it mattered most, he used his legs. Hurts racked up more than 60 rushing yards and punched in 2 touchdowns, including those unstoppable short-yardage tush-push conversions that the league still hasn't figured out how to stop. The offensive line once again proved why it's one of the best in football. Despite facing constant pressure, they allowed only 1 sack, giving Hurts room to improvise and scramble. That line will be critical again against a Kansas City front that produced 3 sacks last week. Saquon Barkley didn't dominate on the ground, but he added versatility with some big plays in the passing game. His ability to turn a simple catch into a first down keeps defenses honest. And while Jahan Dotson surprisingly led the team in receiving yards, the quiet nights from A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith feel like warning signs. When star receivers of that caliber get held in check one week, they usually come out swinging the next. That unpredictability, run heavy one week, air raid the next, is what makes the Eagles such a nightmare to prepare for. Kansas City knows what Mahomes will bring, but with Philadelphia, you never know which version you're getting until the ball is snapped. This game is going to be decided in the trenches and in those little matchup details that don't always show up in the box score. Let's start with the Chiefs' pass rush. They got to Justin Herbert 3 times in Week 1, George Karlaftis with 1, Drew Tranquill blitzing his way to 2. That's solid, but against an Eagles offensive line that allowed only 1 sack all game, it's a whole different challenge. If Mahomes is going to win this battle, his defense has to disrupt Jalen Hurts early and force him out of rhythm. On the flip side, the Eagles' pass rush didn't make it home once against Dak Prescott. 0 sacks, just 1 quarterback hit on 34 attempts. That's not the Philadelphia standard. They'll be counting on Jalen Carter to bounce back and inject some juice into the front 7. If they can't pressure Mahomes, he's going to pick apart the secondary no matter who's catching passes. Speaking of secondaries, both have their vulnerabilities. The Eagles held Dak under 190 yards, but CeeDee Lamb still created problems, exposing soft spots in coverage. The Chiefs' wideout situation is a bit shaky with Xavier Worthy banged up, but Marquise Hollywood Brown has clearly become Mahomes' go-to guy. Add Travis Kelce, and you've got matchup nightmares everywhere. Then there's the run game. The Eagles gave up some big plays on the ground, 49 yards to Miles Sanders, 2 scores to Javonte Williams, but tightened up once they adjusted. Kansas City doesn't exactly scare anyone with their rushing attack. Mahomes led the team in rushing Week 1, which is both impressive and concerning. Isaiah Pacheco flashed efficiency, but he only got 5 carries. If KC stays one-dimensional, the Eagles' defense can lock in, and looming over it all is the Andy Reid factor. The winningest coach in Eagles history facing his former team always adds extra spice. Reid has already beaten Philadelphia as Kansas City's coach, and you can bet he'd love to do it again in a high-stakes rematch. Every big game comes down to a few wild cards, and this one is no different. For Kansas City, the biggest X factor is Patrick Mahomes himself. He has never started a season 0-2, and the weight of that streak could either push him to greatness or expose just how thin the Chiefs' margin for error really is. Then there's Jalen Hurts. His ability to dominate short yardage situations with that near unstoppable tush push gives Philadelphia a hidden edge. 3rd and 1 or 4th and goal feels less like a gamble and more like a guarantee. Against a defense that struggled to get off the field last week, that could be the dagger. Don't overlook the receivers either. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith were quiet in Week 1, and that usually doesn't happen 2 games in a row. One or both could explode for a game-changing performance. On the other side, Hollywood Brown is quickly becoming Mahomes' lifeline, and if the Eagles don't account for him, he could torch their secondary. The offensive lines will also dictate everything. Can the Chiefs' front hold up against Philly's rush if Jalen Carter is back in full force? Can the Eagles' line keep Hurts clean against a blitz-heavy Chiefs defense? Those battles will tell the story. And let's not forget the coaching duel. Andy Reid versus Nick Sirianni isn't just about play calls. It's about adjustments, creativity, and keeping the opponent guessing. In a game this tight, one bold decision could flip the outcome. When you add it all up, this matchup feels less like a Week 2 game and more like a playoff showdown in disguise. You've got a Super Bowl rematch, 2 MVP-caliber quarterbacks, and coaching staffs that know how to win on the biggest stage. The historical numbers say the defending Super Bowl winner usually takes the rematch, and Kansas City desperately needs this one to avoid a nightmare 0-2 start. Mahomes will have his say, no doubt, but he'll need help. From his receivers, from his line, and from a defense that has to find another gear. For Philadelphia, the formula is simple but deadly. Let Jalen Hurts control the pace, let the offensive line dictate the trenches, and wait for their star receivers to break out. If they do, this could be the statement win that tells the league they're still the team to beat in the NFC. It may not be on Sunday Night Football, but make no mistake, this one feels like the Super Bowl all over again.